Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sam and this is my co-host Phil.
What's up, guys?
Together we are Bars and Barbells, and today we have a request from Mark. So this one is Neil Young, Southern Man. So we're excited for this one because apparently it has a very strong message. So this one will be interesting to check out.
Yeah, apparently it revolves a little bit around, not a little bit, it is revolving around racism.
Yeah.
And I assume related to racism in the South.
Yep, Southern states.
This is from 1970 as well, so it would have been around the time frame that the civil rights movement was, really taking hold in the U.S. So I assume that's why it was really relevant and apparently very important to Neil Young's catalog. So this is going to be our second track from Neil Young.
Yep.
We've done his first one that we did was Harvest Moon. We did that one because your dad wanted us to check out a cover of that by Brothers Comatose.
Yeah.
Both of them were cool tracks to check out.
Yeah, for sure.
Very different between the two.
Yeah, it was cool how unique they were.
And then we did a song from Crosby, Stills,
Nash, Young.
and Young.
Yeah.
Sorry, still
Long name.
putting that all together still. So we did one song from them.
Yeah, which
so
is
clearly
cool.
we're getting a little more into Neil Young's catalog.
Yeah, and if you guys have, anything, if you know anything about the song specifically or, Neil Young in general or any more requests from him, drop those in the comments. We're always so appreciative of all of the comments that you guys leave us on all of the videos. We learned so much from you guys, and we really wouldn't be where we are today without that. So thank you so much. If you are new here, we would love for you to join us on this journey. So hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any videos, because we have 2 new ones every day.
That's right. And Sam also is going to give you a little bit of a pop quiz question right now.
That's my job, to give the pop quiz question. But we want to know if Neil Young was in an R&B group before he got famous. So what was the name of that R&B group, and what other well-known artist was actually in it with him?
That's right.
So if you know that, drop it in the comments. If not, you guys stick around to the end. And
I was mind blown when I heard about that. Well, obviously I know the answer to the question, but I was mind blown when I read that little tidbit. So if you know, then cool. But if not, you need to stick around to find out that answer.
Interesting to think of him like in a little R&B group.
Yeah, just knowing that he was part of an R&B group was wild to me. But
cool.
knowing who was in it with him is pretty cool.
Yes.
Anyways, you ready to check out Neil Young, Southern Man?
I am. Let's do it.
Let's roll. expecting at all.
Guitar is crazy though.
That was a really long bridge, that section between the lyrics that we got into with the guitar, obviously.
Yeah, lots of instrumentation there. But the guitar, I said, you probably didn't hear me, but I said something like that. That guitar work was crazy.
In what way?
It was good. It was just like so intricate and like different. It was cool.
Yeah, it had a very dry sound to it, the guitar, which is interesting because I think it plays into, you know, it being rocky but not heavy. And so we haven't heard a lot of that guitar sound on the channel thus far. Maybe a drier sound. But in general, it's not what I was expecting from Neil Young. You know, it's much heavier than obviously the Harvest Moon. It's a sharp contrast to the sound on that.
It's very different.
And I think it's supposed to be that way relative to the song that we're talking about, because it's got, you know, a strong message to it. Not a ton of lyrics, but powerful lyrics.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
What's being said. You know, I think this is probably a compilation video with the imagery, because it's a lyric video, so it's not the official video, right? But I think that the images are even powerful for me personally, because I haven't seen a lot of this. You know, we grew up in Canada, right? So we learned some aspects of the civil rights movement, but not at its core like it was in America. And seeing some of these visuals is almost surreal, you know, because we've obviously come so far in terms of, you know, the way our society works now. That it's kind of second nature that, you know, we just all mix and mingle with each other, and it's
just a giant melting pot.
About it. Whereas obviously we're seeing here really, you know, even this visual on the screen, right? The dogs, right? Like going after, you know, one section of society specifically because of their race. You know, it's just wild because for you and I, it's not something that is, you know, even remotely a thought that enters into our perspectives. I would assume you're in the same concept.
100%. Like in Canada, right? Like you're rarely ever anywhere where it's all just one ethnicity in one place. Like, you know, anywhere that you go, it's just a giant melting pot of everybody. But with this, right, it's like you went to one part of town and it was only one sort of type of people. Or you went to another part of town, it was only other types of people. Or, you know, even just certain probably areas of buildings or whatever, right? Whereas like you never see that anymore. Yeah,
but I'm referring to, you know, you and I specifically, we don't have any relevance to that, so it's not a part of our thought process. You know, so seeing this, that's why it's vastly different, right? Of, you know, what you could ever visualize. And so now we're seeing some of these visuals, and like I said before, we weren't ever taught anything about this, you know, in depth from the get-go. No, not really. Like the only thing that stands out to me, like you said, is the few things that we learned in school. And then reading, I remember the book, The Underground Railroad. And that was like, even that you're reading a book, right? So you have to visualize what you think that looks like based on the text. And it also kind of makes Canada out to be a hero's perspective, right? And which, you know, maybe in some respects is true, but, you know, Canada's not perfect. They have their history that we won't get into. But in light of that, what I was getting to was, you know, Mark recommended this, right? So he's probably much closer to the time period to understand this perspective. But for us, it's so foreign. Anyways, back to the song, the Southern Man aspect. I assume, you know, this is maybe more indicative of Neil's sound then, and maybe the Harvest Moon one is less indicative of it. It's being a little bit lighter and... like just lighter and more like, because that to me sounded more like folky, like the Harvest Moon one, like a little bit almost country rock folky kind of sound, whereas this isn't that at all. So anyways, it was very, very different than what I was expecting from Neil Young. It's great though, really strong groove, driving groove, you know, hard hitting, great rhythm. It's you know, powerful, and it's got enough sound with it, but it's not, you know, something that I would have ever envisioned before we got to this. No, me either. Definitely very different. And I think, like you said, the visuals give the song a lot of power while listening to it as well. Southern man, better keep your head. Don't forget what your good book says. Southern change gonna come at last. Now your crosses are burning fast. His vocal is obviously much different than I expected as well. We had discussed that me in particular, I discussed and said I wasn't a huge fan of his vocal in Harvest Moon, but I think it was way, way better in this one. I really actually liked it for this song, and I thought it was great. So it's crazy how much there can be a contrast between the two songs, and the type of sound that you're going for can make a significant difference in how that vocal is going to fit in too.
Oh, 100%, right? Like, I think, like you said, everybody's vocal, there's some people that are just, they sound amazing with everything that they do, but other people's vocals are so unique that they just sound so good with certain types of music, right? And I think, like you said, this suits his vocal. Whereas the other one, where I feel like it was too laid back, like folky kind of country for his vocal.
It's also a really interesting dynamic. We mentioned and highlighted the societal ideology behind things. It's also just, unique in that Neil Young obviously is a white dude.
I was thinking that making this song.
The song. So
from his perspective.
Yeah. And then I was kind of, referencing that to the way society is, working now. We were kind of drawn into this "we're all enemies" idea.
Yeah.
And, like even this visual right here on the screen, right? We have this, white lady, this picture of this angry white woman that they're showing, right? And you have the other imagery was the police and stuff taking advantage of, we don't know the story of what was going on there, but, the imagery looks like there's obviously, some form of persecution or oppression going on towards a black person. And, I think that it's just, that's what the visual is of what you want to just go to automatically. Everybody wants to go to, and just this division side of things. But it's so easy that we forget that Neil Young stepped out, out of his lane of comfort and, went out on a limb to make this song about something so significant at the time. And he did the right thing. Like, it's clearly the right thing that should have taken place. But it's just so easy to focus on the hate aspect instead of looking at Neil and saying, great job, man. Like, you did exactly what should have been done. There was a lot of things going on in the world that weren't in the right place, but it didn't represent everybody.
Yeah.
And I think it's very easy to get into this mindset to box everybody in that we're all enemies.
Yeah.
And rather than looking at the positive side, because usually it's not everybody. Usually it's a very small subset of society that starts to produce these ideas, and then they grow and grow and grow because nobody says anything, right? And that's what...
And they might not agree with it, but they also don't speak up against it, so it just keeps getting more prevalent.
And it's not something that, is normally socially acceptable. There's just things going on, whether it's, changes in the world, wars, whatever, right? And all these things end up kind of being convoluted to society's ideas that make them think a certain way or not be able to think a certain way. You know, they just kind of follow the herd, so to speak, and that's where we get into trouble. But that's where you need people like Neil doing a song like this to say something, so that there is, a public forum that's a discussion where we say, okay, like, is this really making sense?
Yeah. Well, I think like we've seen that a lot too with the Korean War, right? Like we've talked a lot about in previous reactions of
the Vietnam War.
Yeah. Is that what I said?
You said Korea.
Sorry, I meant Vietnam War. The Vietnam War, where people were at the time that were, popular musical figures or celebrities, whatever, right, that were standing up and making music against that because of what they believed in and what was right. And I think that this is another example of that, of somebody taking their platform and using it to spread a message that is going to positively influence the world, even though they might receive some backlash or it puts them in like a vulnerable position.
And because there's usually always two sides to the story, and the truth will generally fall in between. But the way you're going to come to a conclusion that's beneficial is by having dialogue, right? It's not going to be, where you're at each other's throats. You're never really going to come to a promising solution in that situation. I was also curious about what some of the lyrics that Neil had said, though, because he said, can't remember specifically, but you need to look at your book, and the cross is going to be burning faster. So, like, I don't know if he's referring to the Bible.
Yeah, he called it the good book. So
right, and I don't know what that has to do with the message here. I know the Bible makes mention of slavery in certain aspects, but I don't think it really ever applied to any race ideas. So, also, like the burning of the cross, I know that's a Ku Klux Klan, one of their symbols, right? but I don't really know how it plays into their ideology. Like, I'm not familiar with that at all.
No, I don't know anything about that.
So if you guys know anything about that, you can always let us know in those comments. But anyways, I just, you know, this one obviously strokes the conversation, and Mark had said that in his request that he likes to stroke the conversation on some of these ideas, and it was an interesting perspective into a different time period.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, you know, songs like these are important to remember and stay, you know, relevant through time, because these are things that tend to, you know, be what caused the world to end up being shaped the way that it's been, right? An important part of history. So
Agreed. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed our reaction. If you did, hit the like button for us. Leave us a comment. Let us know about some of the things that we've talked about in this video. We always appreciate the insights, anything that we may have got wrong. You know, just maybe this is a little more of a hot topic than normal. So just keep it PG, keep it positive. Try not to bring too much negativity into that comment zone. We all got love here. We all want to have a good time. So let's keep our community that we've built here in the same light. And if you want to join us on this journey for more videos, and this is your first time, remember to hit the subscription button and the notification bell. And we've taken a long time to get to it, but we should give you the answer to that pop quiz question that we asked you in the beginning.
Yes, and that is, the group is called the Mina Birds, and the other artist that it was with that is popular and well known is Rick James.
Rick James was in a band, an R&B band with Neil Young.
Like, what?
Who would have ever guessed that? If you did, well, congratulations. That was pretty well done.
Yes.
We did not know that. We learned something. Hopefully you learned something as well. And if you did, you got to come back to our next one so you can learn a little bit more. That's it from us today, guys. We'll be back soon with another one.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.